So I got asked, hey Kiwi, how do you turn XML files into Ymaps for FiveM? Well, I mean, it's relatively easy and pretty straightforward. So here we've got an XML file, and you can see the basic schema here. I've got it, my note is Madkiwi is a version. I want the audio to come out at 400 volume. I want it to clear the database. No, I don't. Do I want it to clear the world? No, I don't. Do I want it to clear markers? No, I don't. Does it need to load anything like IPLs or special maps? No, it does not. Does it need to remove any or enable any interiors? That's not important. We're not going to be doing anything that fancy. The weather is set to cast it as extra sunny. That basically means that this prop will spawn assuming that the weather's going to be extra sunny, but that's not going to matter to the client because we're telling it to do whatever the hell we want anyway. So, set task sequences on load, yes, you want the entity to be able to perform its basically entity duties. If you want the entity to burn like fire, then you have to give it the ability to do tasks. So there's its reference coordinates. This is a rough area of where you want the object. In this particular case, I'm not giving it exact coordinates. That's just a reference. Here's the actual object itself, and this is a placement object. And you can see here, there's the model hash, the type of placement that it is being in a variable. There's a whole list of those. You can just type in model placement XML or anything along those lines. They're very, very easy to do. Basically the control of the hash name, various different sets such as whether it's visible, whether it has health. Like the invisible thing basically lets you turn a prop invisible so that you can then skin it. So you can change the texture. So you could apply a texture to an invisible weed plant and have it look like a maple tree. Right? Isn't that clever of them? So basically these are all to do with it. You can see there this has gravity, so if it's knocked over it will fall down. It has health, and you can see there it is not collision proof, it is not explosion proof, it is not bulletproof. It can't be not important. The position rotation is the main thing here. This is going to be the location it is at with the rotation that you're going to be seeing for it. Pitch and roll will control the object moving in these directions, but the actual yaw will control what direction you want that object facing, and in this particular case it doesn't really matter. And 104 I think was the default that I'd left in there from the previous one. So and whether or not it is an attachment, meaning is the object part of another object that makes up a bigger prop, meaning you can link multiple props together to make one prop and it will load it as one. That's the end of those spooner placements. You can see this is a relatively simple file and it's in XML. So what we're going to do is we're going to save that bad boy, and I already know where it's going to save to. So we're going to open this up in Min, and you can see here Me2YM is that program that you can get right now, and what it does is it converts these. You can open them up. We can go Madkiwi test. You open that up, and then what we're going to do is we're going to export that file. And you can see here it's going to put out a ymap.xml file. So we want to call this Madkiwi test. Now Madkiwi test, I don't actually know that oh yeah, I did. Okay, cool. So Madkiwi test ymap.xml, and that's the file it's going to create for us, okay? So I'm going to drag that over to here so I can access it easily. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to open up OpenIV, the map folder here. And what we're going to do is we're going to come up here, we're going to create an archive. We want to call it an archive name. And in this particular case, I just want to call this Madkiwi test, so that I've got an archive that is empty that I can use, that I can write to and from. So what we're going to do is we're going to drag that ymap.xml, and you can see here I'm just hovering over it with it held down. Just drag it onto there and boom, it creates the ymap for us. Now you can directly drag that ymap back out of there, and there's your ymap file in its completed form. Now, this is a representation of this. These are the exact same file, the exact same size. The only difference is what these do is these create an actual XML CMAP data. And this is the important part, where it turns it into a physical CMAP entity as opposed to using the XML files, which have to load in one or two different objects. The XML XMaps are physically loading. These are the boundaries of the streaming object. So if you create something that is just a small Ymap in a small boundaries, it will physically be a lot easier to load than a big Ymap running over, like, say, 30 or 40. It's why if you've ever been through some of the Ymaps that have, 500,000 trees and they're all part one Ymap and it's spread across the whole city, that's why smaller Ymaps split up into little chunks is actually a better idea when it comes to object loading. But you can see there how that has gone from this process where we physically wrote the file to this process where we physically turned the file into a Ymap that's preparation, to loading it into the Ymap using this and having it auto-convert it, dragging it back out and getting our physical Ymap. Now, here's the thing. There are other things that we can do here, and I'll back up a little bit. We'll drag this out of the information. This will go back a little further. This placement that we're staring at right here is for the Avenger. This is an Avenger. You can see there the colors and the models and the livery and even the number plate. We can set the number plate of it if we decide to. Absolutely all of this, even the paint fade, right down to that level. So all of these variables that are available there, right, left, back, front, neons, doors, whether they're open and closed, hood, whether they're open and closed, whether the doors are broken, whether the windows are broken, whether the tires are bust, the entire thing is all built into that XML. And you can see here even the mods are listed. So you can see basically in the 1 to 48 whether or not those mods are upgraded, and all the various different, and again coming with that is melee proof, is gravity proof, is max health, blah 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 blah. And that's the same kind of way that you would place that as you just place that little weed.xml that we have right there, that actual small plant placement. And so you can take models, vehicles, I believe PIDs, and make them all into functioning in-game objects that are loaded in as part of the map by doing this. So hopefully that was useful to you. That can then be loaded into the game, and you can basically take those files that you have, and you can see there I've got these files. I can take that Madkiwi test, drag her over here, replace the one that's there originally because I was using it earlier on, and then when I go to update that Madkiwi test up to the server, now I have a nice shiny new version of that, and I should have a weed plant sitting in the middle of the spawn location, just at foot height. So there's a basic understanding of how that works. I can quickly see whether or not it will let me load into FiveM long enough to actually see it in operation. But let's take a look here. It may take absolutely forever to load because, as I said, it's expecting me to not be streaming right now, and I am definitely doing so. We are now sponsored by caffeine products. Seriously? You're not on the list yet? Oh, it's going to be loud if I don't get to it. Thank God. It's going to take forever just to be exciting. Come on. Come on. Thank you. And I have no idea how horrible this will work, but oh, apparently it hasn't loaded in. Oh, there it is. So there you go. Here's our little pot plant that we spawned in the middle of Polito. Sorry, in the middle of the thing, and you can see here that has physical properties. I can't walk into it. I can't jump through it. So, you know, there you go. That's how to convert an XML file into a Ymap. Loading that natively, and then loading in. Exciting, right? Yeah. Alright, so yeah, cool. Done. How to turn a XML into a Ymap. Wasn't professional, wasn't awesome, but there you go, in a nutshell. You can find that Me Too Ymap. You can find it everywhere. But just for those of you who want to see it again, so they know what it looks like, it's Me Too Ymap or Me Too YM, and that will create the XML Ymap from the XMLs that you create. And you can see here you can add in vehicle generators just simply by going through and saying, hey, look, this is where I want the position of it. This is what I want to render. This is what I want the flags to be, what the car model is. Like, technically speaking, if I type BMX in there, I could create a BMX in whatever location I chose to. Now, whether or not that's a great idea is a whole different kettle of fish, and there are a bunch of different things that you do have to bear in mind when you're creating these. These are very, very basic flags. You will actually need to have more than this just to create a vehicle, but this will give you the car model and a location that it will spawn in, and this will guarantee that that vehicle will spawn in as a vehicle generator. You can also set this so that if you have multiple Ymaps and they are dependent on another Ymap, you can specify that Ymap name there, and it will load that Ymap first before loading it in. So those are all alternate things that you can do with that. But there you go, guys. Madkiwi being a nerd and showing you something cool again. Have yourselves a fantastic day.